Hello, welcome, Friday again. Last week I was talking about the resurrection of Jesus and how skeptics are trying to find sort of a naturalistic explanation as to what could explain the events surrounding the resurrection of Jesus. And one of them is the hallucination theory. But the problem with the hallucination theory, they're saying that the disciples or people hallucinated. But the problem is it doesn't happen to a group of people. It only happens to individuals. There isn't any known case where a group hallucinated the same thing. I mean, you can hallucinate one thing, but I remember listening to a debate, or might have been a podcast, where they were talking about hallucinations. And what they were saying is the most likely person to hallucinate is someone who loses a loved one, and then they're hallucinating that the loved one comes back. But even that would have to be like an older generation, the elderly. It would have to be the elderly, and they would have to expect that the person comes back. But it is unlikely that the whole family would hallucinate the same thing, or it's unlikely that you and I or three of us would have the exact same hallucination. It's not possible, because we have different presuppositions, different brains, our whole minds just working differently. And the other thing is, if the hallucination didn't happen, I mean, okay, let's rephrase this. The theory of hallucination doesn't work, because Jesus didn't just appear to one person. It appeared to multiple of people. So how do you explain that everybody was having the same sort of hallucination? It just doesn't work. And the other thing is, over 500 people claimed that they saw the risen Jesus. But if they had hallucinated, why didn't they show the authorities? Why didn't they just show them the body of Christ? Because it disappeared. That's all they had to do. They could have stopped Christianity where it exploded. They could have just done away with Christianity. They would have destroyed the growth of Christianity by doing a simple thing, showing the body of Christ. But they couldn't. And there's another theory that says that they went to the wrong tomb. But the problem is, if they had gone to the wrong tomb, all they had to do was show them the correct tomb. I mean, you go to the wrong house number. Oh, no, sorry, it's 2 doors down. That's where they would have had to go. And the other thing is, Joseph of Arimathea, he was like a Jewish noble. He had a pretty high rank in the Jewish community. So he was a known person, and they even put Roman guards in front of the tomb. And again, if the disciples had gone to the wrong tomb, or in fact it wasn't even the disciples, it was the women who discovered the empty tomb, then wouldn't it be, if it was a known knowledge that they put a guard or two, I think it was two, a couple of guards they put in to guard the tomb, wouldn't you at least think that, okay, I've come to the tomb, there's no guards here, I probably must be at the wrong tomb. And the other thing is, how do you explain the appearance of Jesus, even if people went to the wrong tomb? How does it follow logically that the disciples went to the wrong tomb? Fine, but you still have to explain the appearance of Jesus. And the other thing is, it didn't convince anyone. It didn't convince the disciples of Jesus that Jesus resurrected based on the empty tomb. If you read the gospel stories, it didn't convince them. In fact, it convinced no one. Nobody believed them. The Apostle Paul, I was talking about it when teaching the Gospel of John. In the Gospel of John, not in the Gospel of John, but I mentioned in passing that the Apostle Paul, he was persecuting Christians left, right, center. And on the road to Damascus, he encountered the risen Christ, and that was the thing that changed his mind. He wasn't convinced at all that the tomb was empty. He killed persecuted Christians regardless. And even Jesus' brother, James, Jacob, but he was translated as James. That was the thing that convinced him, the resurrection of Christ. I mentioned in the Gospel of John that his family, his brother, ridiculed him. However, after converting, he became the leader of the temple in Jerusalem, or the church in Jerusalem, and he died the death of a martyr. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about the death of a martyr, why dying the death of a martyr is an argument for the resurrection of Christ. But that's the thing. Even if you can explain away the empty tomb, how do you explain away the appearance of Christ? See you next week.